it's the resources, because it takes money to do this stuff. And for me, I've had a couple of years of real hard blows. And when you look at it, it's an independent thing. And so for example, on Ekwele, which was the last album I did, before I did the album, I knew it was going to, in church, it was going to be a commercial failure, because it wasn't the kind of stuff that you praise and worship leaders like. This was a lot more left field, as it were, because I was exploring thoughts that I had in my mind. I'm exploring feelings that I had about my father, a lot of the pain I had about my country, a lot of the issues I had about identity, and a lot of thoughts I had about race, and I wanted to express that within the confines of my world, which is, music and theology and that. So I knew the church wasn't going to jump on that, and the church didn't. So that was fine. Then we did a concert. I was approached by a gentleman in church who said the Lord had told him, or that God had told him to finance our next DVD recording. I wasn't planning to record a DVD because I know what it costs. I mean, Hammersmith Apollo cost me 83 grand. The O2 that you mentioned, that cost me the best part of 40 grand. Ocean cost me the best part of 40 grand, and so it goes. And there's no one else putting money. So when this man came along and said that, I was like, great. He said to me, send me the budget. I did. He said, great, go forward. And because I had credibility with people, I was able to book a venue without having to put money down. Book the band, book everything without putting money down. 2 weeks to the event, it becomes clear that he's not coming through for his reasons. So I'm left with a 47 grand hole. Now I've got 2 children to pay school fees for. I have to make sure there's a roof over the house, because Sister Lola didn't send me. So
bless her.
You know what I mean? So you got all that to deal with. And then people think because you do what you do, that you just you're awash with money. Well, I don't steal the money. I work hard for it. So here we are, all of a sudden 47 grand that you didn't budget for. That hit me. So we had to slow down a little. And then in the process of thinking, okay, how do we, and you constantly have to, as it were, rebrand. And that's what's kept River Songs alive since, we're 15 years in now. We Command the Nations that Daniel plays from 2008, I think. Wow. That's 10 years ago. You understand?
We're still playing it.
So in the process of you having to rejig yourself so people can get you, it takes money. So I attempted a rebrand, and worked with some friends of mine who said, we know we can do it. And because we're friends and they had the right words, I let them. Well, a year in, we'd wasted about 27 grand and no results. And so you got 47 that you just sunk into a hole, as it were. 27. After a while, that's the best part of 100 grand. You have to just, any sane person will stop. Even if you don't stop, your pocket stops. So, it became necessary for me to just take a moment. And for the question about churches is, it's resources. Because most churches, they're busy trying to pay off the bill. And so that's why we'll go to church and we'll have offering. And thankfully, some churches are not like that. But a lot of churches, you have 2 offerings. So they're struggling already. So it's, where do we put the money? We like music. But if you don't see the value of people talk about Hillsongs. Hillsongs, this is 30-something years later that they've kept at it. You talked about Love World. Now, the reality is, the music you hear, even though what you see is Sinach, what you see is Frank Edwards, what you see is PK, what you see is Ada, that's actually Love World. The money behind it is Love World. There's a label that the church has. Now, to give you some idea, Frank Edwards' first million that he made was from royalties that he got from the church, from the label, which is the church, which was at the point when Naira was about 60 Naira to a pound. So you can get and at that point you could buy a house in Nigeria for about a decent 2-bedroom house in a nice area for about 6 million naira. So he got $1 million of that in royalties. There are many times that Pastor Chris and someone I know these guys. There's many times that Pastor Chris is in service and he says, "Eben, you've blessed me. I want to bless you," and he gets real cash. Wow. Real hard cash, and I'm not talking about $5,000. You understand? So it's whether the church wants to invest in it, but you can't blame them because some of them just want some. That's not their thing. Not everyone. I mean, for Oral Roberts thing wasn't music. Yes. Oral Roberts was education. So it's set at Oral Roberts University. Same thing, I guess, arguably with Mensa Otabil.
Yes, education again.
Education.
University.
But there are some who they could invest, but they'll rather spend the money on their Bentley. So, but we'll leave that.
We'll leave that conversation for another day. But you know something? It's interesting that you say that, yes, resources is a problem. But you tend to find that sometimes churches want that result. A lot of pastors, they want the kind of music ministries and the accolades that the Hillsongs and the Elevation churches and the Love Worlds have, but yet they don't realize that you need to do the work, you need to sow, you need to invest in order to reap from there. So hopefully, if there's a pastor listening, let's support our music ministries and let's turn them around to the glory of God.
And also, maybe if any of our pastors are listening, they may have a different idea how this could be approached. Now, you can give us a call or send us a text. Let's know what the thoughts are. Like Muyiwa rightly said, sometimes the church has so much to do and the priority might not be the music. But I think the whole point of the conversation is that how can the talents that are in the church or the music that we're producing in the church go out from the church and bless the world? What is it that we need to do? Right. So if you have any thoughts, give us a call. But today we are talking about a brand new single.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And it's really different from a lot of the singles and the music that you've released. Yes. This is hip hop.
Well, those who know me know from when I was younger, hip hop was my thing. And actually at Premiere, they get moments where they think they've just come to take me from my village because I'll just have a need for some hip hop, so I'll put on like Roots or Wu-Tang Clan or Busta back in the days, and I'll be popping, and some will look, and some of the white people just walk past quietly. Like,
what's happening?
And then garage was also my thing. I mean, 21 seconds was we used to jump off the building for 21 seconds back in the day. So all that was in my system, and it's still in my system. Yeah. But I'm an older man.
Yeah.
I can't be granddad at the dance floor. So with this song actually, I've had for 6-7 years. The River Songs guys didn't really like it. So I'm like, guys, it's okay. So this time around, I thought I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it with my baby brother, Isaac Bokwe, aka Governor B. I've known him for years, very close to him, very close to the family. But we've never ever, it's interesting, all the years we've known each other, we've never ever spoken about doing music. We speak about everything. We speak about life, family, music, and the music he's doing, the journey we're on. He's one of the people that I could talk to. He's much younger than me. I could talk to him, and he would give me a perspective and say, "I'll pray for you," and I really believe it. Yeah, because where people don't realize, but where's people like me are at, you're in a bit of a bubble where there's crazy stuff going on. You got crazy relationships you're dealing with, but you can't talk to anyone about it because it not only messes with their norm. So Governor is one of those. Not saying I could tell him everything, but of course, he's one of those that So I thought this song. I called him. I says, Isaac, can you do the songs? And he was in the middle of doing his own album, so he was real busy. I was like, yeah, why not? Boom. And I did the song, with a producer in Ghana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to name the producer?
Yeah, he's a young guy called Osei.
Okay.
Yeah, he would usually do all of Kwesi Oteng's stuff.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, and he's also he's reasonably well known.
Yeah.
In his circles.
Is it Groove House Studios or
Groove House? Yeah.
Groove House. Yeah, that's Osei.
Yeah.
That's what I say. He actually did the drums on my new single. Actually, that is yet
okay.
to be released.
Yes,
but no, we're not talking about that.
Osei is just invading UK music, man, because there's a whole load of us. And it was recommended to me, and the person recommended him to me. Had recommended the producer of Ekoile, and the producer of Ekoile, Kwame Yebo. He's an incredible genius.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's crazy, but musically he's a genius.
Yeah.
And after Ekoile, I thought I'll never work with Kwame again. It was just too much hassle. The music that I was getting was so moving, but the wahala that came with it, it's just so it's that area. So then they said to me, this young guy can deliver like Kwame. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I tried him. I sent him the idea. He sent back his demo. I was like, whoa. And then I discovered that he had a network of people. So he had, a musician in Cote d'Ivoire, and there was a network of. So I felt like this was great because I'll be getting a network of Africa in it. So it's a meeting of Europe and Africa. And then Governor B put his hip hop on it. So hopefully it'll make me feel young again.
Before one of your concerts, actually, there was a video that you did of yourself. It was I think it was Governor B, and then what's his name?
Yeah.
And what's the other? Vic Tizzle,
yeah.
Right, and they were teaching you how to rap. So
that was Hammersmith Apollo. I mean, for those who don't know, and I was grateful that Akosua took time to say, there might be people who don't know, because not everyone knows. You see, I mean. That was the first time that UK gospel will sell out Hammersmith Apollo.
Yeah.
And before we went in, people, those well-meaning people who knew about gospel in this country, blatantly told me, listen, you sure it would work? It might not work. What if it fails? And it could have failed catastrophically because it was a massive venue. It's 5,000 people. So, and for me, let me tell you what was going on that. Usually before concerts, I get very nervous, and how my nerves manifest is I get sleepy. So I'll just lay down. If you ever see me before the concert, an hour before, I'm just laying down sleeping, and my crew know to leave me. So someone runs in. I'm like, they said, oh my goodness, you want to see the queue outside? I was like, leave me alone. I don't want to know, because I don't want to know, because it would just mess with my mind, and for me, I'm quite internal. So you'd be looking at me now, but you didn't realize what sort of wars are going on in my heart and my head. And so I said, I don't want to know. Then next person, and then when it was time to go on stage, I remember coming out. And I didn't realize until I was watching the behind the scenes video after. I looked out and I said, oh my God, where did they come from? And at that start, I thought, Muyiwa, your unbelief was just revealed to the whole world. Because truly, if you believed it was going to be, So it was for that concert that Vic Tizzle and Governor B taught me how to azonto.
Azonto was really big at that time. And they said you need a hook and you need something else to rap. It was an amazing video.
Before we play the track, you just touched on something when you were speaking right now. You spoke about the fact that your Hammersmith Apollo event was pretty much the first time gospel artists had filled such a event venue, and you also did the O2 Indigo. Once again, because gospel artists in this country, often at time we kind of just do church venues, because obviously, as you rightly said, there's the anxiety, can we fill these big venues? And obviously the overhead costs involved in, putting together such shows and such concerts. What drives you, to put out, these kind of American style gospel artist concerts? Because it's not common within UK gospel.
What drives me, I guess it's the mission. And, and also sometimes it's a God thing, really, because you feel it and you hear God speak and go. I mean, the Hammersmith Apollo, I knew even when I was going, and my guys will tell you, I'm one of these guys when it comes to it. I don't hide in mysterium, right? Where I say, oh, yes, it's God and God only. Yeah. When we sit in the meetings, we're like, guys, tickets are not selling. And they'd be like, it's fine. I said, you know, it's not fine because you're not the one that's going to pay the bill when we're gone. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so we get to see, they see my real flesh there. And Hammersmith Apollo, I knew God had said to go into a space where people who don't go to church can experience the music. Now, we don't do hip hop, we just do praise and worship. But it was incredible because it was so gratifying to see what God said happened, because that day Nicki Minaj was to be in concert the day after. She had people already queuing up to buy tickets. And there was at least one that I know that was like, who are these people? It's gospel music. She bought her ticket to come in to hear gospel music. Now, apart from her, there was a family came with an autistic son. And the woman said after that, this is the most normal she's ever seen her son. I had some of my old friends from Sony, because I used to work at Sony, looked after Mariah Carey, Bob Dylan, and the rest. Some of my friends came from Sony who are not Christians and they don't do gospel music. They came, one of them came with her mum. Her mum's not a Christian. She said her mum danced from the beginning to the end. You know, so that's the stuff that drives me. But the reason many artists can't do it, it comes down to the resource. If you give us the money, we would all do it. Yeah. If you and it doesn't have to be loads of money, you know, because listen, as a matter of actually, you don't even have to give us the money. Give artists some sort of support or credit, because the venue also need to pay their bills. So you can't say God bless you. The venue. So look now, Daniel Dadson releases his album. He has the option of doing church tours, but the church tours, some of the pastors probably can't see it themselves because they're so busy looking at their own problems, thinking I need to keep my sheep going, not realizing there's a kingdom thing in supporting. Even if we don't talk kingdom, if we talk business principles, the more you resource the elements in the ecosystem, the more it will grow. So if we're looking just in church and they say, okay, see an artist, Daniel Dadson, okay, I'll book him for this Sunday. You book him just in our network. You book him for that Sunday, that Friday. Let's intentionally go ahead and do that. He gets, even if they don't give him a penny, we'll give him the opportunity and we will help push the project, his project for him. Because without that, he's having to go to a venue. I mean, if we talk a cheap venue, who will charge £2,500, that's £2,500 plus VAT, right? Then you have to get the sound and light, because nowadays we're not like, okay, we appreciate your music, we want you to tickle us. I mean, even our churches have lighting now, so to say, oh, you know, this is God's thing, please bear with me, there's sound feedback, no, you're gonna get abused. so then he has to get sound and light. Let's say he spends $1,500 for sound and light. We're already at almost 5,000. Then he has to cut through all the noise, because for you, of course, you've got the noise of your women's conference going, got the noise of church conference going. Then Kirk, who spends £100,000 on a video, is getting your attention.
That's true,
right? So Dan has to fight against all that. And how can it do it? So we say, oh, social media can reach everyone. It's a lie. Social media can't reach everyone, as you now found out with Zuckerberg, because his algorithms is forced us to spend to get the attention of people before we convince them to buy. So now he has to be spending on average to get that attention £200 a month.
That's
and
true.
to get to the concert, he has, and this is just on Facebook. And then he has to do Twitter and Instagram. And Twitter is much more expensive than Facebook. Then he has to do radio ABN is a business. You just can't come and say, please, oh, because ABN to say, please, oh.
Absolutely.
You know, so you have to buy adverts.
Yeah.
And £100 ain't going to go anywhere.
No.
So you have to budget £1,000. Yeah. So you're already near £10,000. That's just radio. And now that's no guarantee that anyone will turn up.
That's true.
You know, then the worst part of it, not the worst part of it, the biggest chunk of it that people don't realize are the musicians. Hammersmith Apollo, my musicians and singers, these are my babies. Yeah. Some of them grew up with me since the age of 14. The bill for my musicians and singers was £15,000. I did not steal the money. Yeah. This is hard-earned money. But I mean, what am I going to tell them? This, at least I work on radio, I do some TV, all they do is music. So, and unfortunately, that's the challenge that they have with churches. I don't know if you saw this clip of Matthew, what's his name?
Williamson, I believe it was Dr. Matthew Williamson.
Matthew Williamson, and he says, he's apologizing to musicians. He says, pretty much saying, we've used you as preachers. Yeah. And that's what happens and unfortunately, it's just because the preacher's too busy feeling the pain of he has to pay the rent, he has to pay, and then some of them have to keep up appearances because they put themselves in a position and so you as a musician coming to say, pay me for play, like what you're supposed to be serving in the house. Yes. You know, so once they're already getting that in church, now they come to me, Muyiwa, me too, I want to do, no, that's not cool. So they tell me this is what I charge. I pay them. I can't pay them as much as they will get from Davido or Nicki Minaj, but at least I can pay them what they ask, which is respectable.
Right.
Yeah.
By the time, and if you think for Danny, for that this said concert we're talking about, we're almost at 10,000 already. Yeah. So if he has keys, bass, drums, guitar, that's 4. Okay,
that's even the basic.
That's the basic without going fancy, right? And you want to hear fancy because you're paying £15 for the ticket. So you're thinking you better do some, you know, you better jump through loops, even though that £15 will just about buy you something at Costa. But anyhow, so 4 musicians, and each of them would want £200 each for the concert. Yeah. That's £800. Yeah. Now he has to do rehearsals to prepare so that you're not hearing what we call in my village frying pan tune. Rehearsals would be easily a week, and he will be paying easily £100 for each rehearsal. So that's £700 times 4. Yeah. You're going bankrupt, man. Yeah. So that's why people don't do it, because I mean, people would love to, but who would support it? And you know, people will say, oh, you know, why can't we do it like the secular? Well, actually, with the secular, there's people who put money. You know, people will make noises about, oh, these young grime artists, you know, These young rhyme artists, some of them, they came from a drug world, so they bring in drug money. Listen, the people that you know, I just realized I'm talking so much. Let me just finish this point. Yeah. The people who people make noise about in the music industry, and thank God I worked in it, so I know. Yeah. We talk about Jay-Z. We talk about Birdman. We talk about, let me just use those 2 as an example. Jay was on the streets doing drugs. Everyone knows that. It's been documented. It's his drug money that he brought to do music. And then when the music took off, he reinvested it. Yeah. Birdman, it's well documented. Birdman was making millions as a kid on drugs. Yeah. He was living at home with his mum. He had 5 cars. I mean, went to prison for a while and thought, you know what? I need to change my life. So he washed the money, which is now what's become Lil Wayne and all the Cash Money family. So there was investment from somewhere to make it happen. So if you want to see the Jay-Z results, church, you too. But if you want to see Hillsong result, put some money in this
about the investment.
Yeah.
It's about the investment.
Let me shut my mouth.
Interesting.
We're only here to talk about single.
Yes, I know.
Please go and download more single.
We will talk about the single. But just before you play the single, so the clip that Muyiwa was referring to is actually Dr. Matthew Stevenson. It's not Williamson Stevenson.
I've seen that clip. I've seen that clip. Well, let's play the song Aladewura. And what does that mean, Muyiwa?
Aladewura is Yoruba for the one that wears the golden crown or crown adorned with gems. The song actually, when I wrote it, was called Emmanuel, but then I thought there's so many songs called Emmanuel, and I wanted to reflect something of my Africanness unapologetically, and so I called it Aladewura because that's one of the lines in the song, brackets Emmanuel.
Great. When we come back after the song, there is one thing that I think you're very noted for, and I read it somewhere this week, that you're unapologetically African. We'll talk about that, but for now, let's listen to the track.
Reign forevermore, Emmanuel. Our God is with us, Emmanuel. God is on our side, Emmanuel. Our God is with us, Emmanuel.
Reigns forevermore, Emmanuel.
God is with us.
Our God is with us, Emmanuel.
God is on our side.
God is on our side, Emmanuel.
Our God is with us.
Our God is with us, Emmanuel.
The root of David, the rose of Sharon, the reason Lord, He's the rock of ages, the Son of God, the Son of Man, Aladewura, He's the Lion of Judah.
The Lord of David, the rose of Sharon, the risen Lord, He's the rock of ages, Son of God,
Son of God, Son of Man,
the Lion of Judah, Emmanuel.
God is with us.
Our God is with us,
Feel like lifting Him up. God is on our side.
God is on our side,
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
God is with us.
Our God is with us,
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
Call His name again for me. What you call Him? The root of David, the rose of Sharon, the reason Lord, He's a rock of ages, the Son of God, He's the Son of Man, Aladewura, He's the Lion of Judah.
The Lord of David, the rose of Sharon, the risen Lord,
He's a rock of ages, Son of Man.
I've seen tough times, but I still got my life. I know God's on my side, so I got to rise. I shout praise cause I got the right. When it's dark, can't stop the light. And I've been searching everywhere for some hope. So Lord, if you're with me, let me know. I wanna feel your peace, move mountains, still the seas. Storms come, but still we sleep, cause we know you're in control. You just lead and I'll follow. Living water, fill my soul. Holy fire when it's cold. Find my faith and hit the road, but I don't know. I'll get low, and I don't know. I'll get low, cause I've been finding it hard. But you brought me out of the dark. Look at my face, no, just look at His grace. It's great, now look at my faith. So blessed, why wouldn't I change? You're with me, so why wouldn't I say
Emmanuel.
Our God is with us.
Our God is with us,
No matter how it feels, God is on our side. Say,
God is on our side.
And that was for the first time on ABN Radio London's Afropolitan radio station, Muyiwa Olariwaju Aladewura. Oh, wow. You know what? We'll come back and explore a little bit more about this amazing, very, very different song from Muyiwa. This is ABN Radio.
God is
We are online, DAB, and the ABN Radio app.
Mixpiration with Bright every Sunday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. is just fun. It's exciting. It's a mix of contemporary R&B and pop gospel music right here on ABN Radio. Enjoy great tunes every Sunday evening with bright on mixpiration. A blend of great inspiring songs just for your Sunday evening relaxation. Tune in from 6 to 8 p.m. This and every Sunday, they're on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station.
The Discourse on ABN Radio, engaging our community with discerning conversation.
Join me, Esther Alade, on The Discourse, where we will be redefining perspectives with authentic analysis.
Join The Discourse from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. on ABN Radio.
This Friday and every Friday on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station. Tune in to the new ABN Breakfast Show from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. The London City Show has evolved into an all-new breakfast show with sizzling slices of juicy newsy current affairs served with junior jumbo-sized convos on issues you should be aware of. What did I just say? The ABN Breakfast Show, the Afropolitan breakfast you can't afford to miss.
ABN Radio.
London!
London's Afropolitan radio station.
Yes, indeed. And we played that song for the first time on ABN Radio Aladewura. But before we go back to Muyiwa, let me read this message from Uncle Charles. Good morning, Uncle Charles, and thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow he is on with the Afropolitan Gospel Show as well, 7 to 10. Don't miss that. But Uncle Charles says that the church support thing for musicians, it's about churches not being intentional about seeing music as another tool to reaching the people and not as something you do before preaching.
Word.
You want to comment on that?
No.
Okay. Right. But Muyiwa, I was saying there's something just before I play your track. And it's been written. I mean, if I go online, I'll find it that you're unapologetically Nigerian or African. And is there something in that? Or let me ask this way: that is it very intentional that you do that, and you also bring it through your songs and the things that you do?
Absolutely. It's intentional for me, and it goes back to me growing up. And by the way, I have to say a big thank you to everyone that's downloaded the song so far. I mean, there seemed to be a bit of a rush to download it yesterday when it came out. So, but I'm grateful for it, because the reality for me is if church people don't buy it, I'm not one of these people that's hoping that, the secular radio will pick it up, because I understand the nature of what we do. This is the gospel of Jesus Christ, and darkness is not going to necessarily jump to support light.
Absolutely.
So when Christians and good people download it, I'm grateful, because I know they have options. But for me, the African thing, when I was sent back to this country, I remember one of my earliest memories was being at school, on Archbishop Tennyson's grammar school. And as a child, I'd been through the trauma of being ripped away from my parents. I mean, I never saw my father again till tomorrow, because he died. So I'm feeling the pain of that. And as a child, you want to belong, you want to fit in. And I wanted to fit in, but I couldn't fit in because I was the effing African. They would abuse me. They would put bananas on my table at school. And so I didn't want to be African. I wanted to be something other. And then so the black boys called me the West Indian boys called me effing Africans. The white boys weren't so nice, but then there were two white boys who were cool with me. The only knife crime I've ever known in my life was from a white boy pulling out a knife on me because I was a monkey from Africa. And so things like that affected my psyche. And I really I tried to change my name to Stephen Byright until I remembered that my mum would kill me because, my name was, and then I came to a moment where it's like Nebuchadnezzar when it says of him that he came to himself or his senses, as some versions will. I came to my senses and I thought, hold on a second, except God made a mistake, then so I started telling people when they would ask me who am I, and it was a loud statement that said, yes, I'm African. And actually there was some bad attitude behind it at then, because I'm like, I'm African, and what? But now I'm cool with it. Then I went to the years later, I'd grown older. I was going to see my dad because I'd gone through periods where I would cry because I really wanted my parents. I had adopted parents, I had questions around my identity, and I felt rejected, and that affects some of how I am with people now. And I remember wanting to go back to see my dad just to talk, and that was the week he got assassinated in Nigeria. So I'm going back for the funeral, which I missed in the end, and I'm sitting on the plane, and I look, and I told Dan this story last time I came. Right. I was sitting on the plane, I'm looking on the plane. Now the media told me Africa was bad, Nigeria was a hellhole or a beep hole, as President Trump might have called it. They said things that even Nigerians were saying to me here. That place is just armed robbers. So I formed this picture in my mind of a terrible place. But when I got on the plane, the class of the plane I was sitting in was full of white people. I'm like, if the place is that bad, where you going?
That's a good question.
Then I got to Nigeria and I realized that yes, we have problems, but actually, this place is full of wonderful people. Yes, there is corruption, but it's not all of Nigerians who are corrupt. Yes, we've got aggression, but it's not all of them. I mean, I began to realize there's some good things about it. And then I realized that actually, you know what? When people are making these statements about how bad Africa is, or like they say now, knife crime, it's just black young guys. It's the same thing they say in their minds when they see me. The amount of times, let me tell you, the amount of times, even now, that I'm walking on the street, you see someone. Recently this happened. There were two women sitting on the train. I came. Was it the train or where was it? Because I don't generally catch a train. But I remember I was going to sit somewhere. They had their bags there. I came along, and they picked up their bags, and I sat down. Then they put down their bags. I wasn't sitting near them. I just came by them. They picked up the bags and put it there. And if you know anything about body language, you know they were securing their bags. A young white boy came along, didn't touch the bags. I was like, even subtle little things like that. Now people don't realize it, and you could, someone could say, oh, it's just your mind. But when you experience that again and again, so for me, I came to a point where I said, you know what, I'm not going to be one of these people that's going to be apologetic about my Africanness. I'm not going to be apologetic because God made no mistakes. And this is one of going back to our churches. This is one of the mistakes our churches make, because everyone sees their young people leaving, and they're so eager, and they see Hillsong is burgeoning, and they're so eager, and they think, let's just dampen down the Africanness, because no, they don't realize the kids are not interested in Hillsong. The kids just want something authentic and something well done. So when you go to a church like a Spark Nation or a Caris that's full of young people, white kids, black kids, West Indians, these are millennials that you say wouldn't come to church. They're shocking out, as they say, like it's anyhow. Let me not try to use their terms because I'm too old. So we tend to kill ourselves trying to dampen down a black. I remember one of the big church leaders in this country says to me, by the time his kids are in their 20s, by the time his kids in their 40s, there won't be a black church or white church, because all his kids, they only have white friends at school. I'm like, that is so daft, Your Grace, because all my friends at school, my only friends at school were white. That doesn't tell you anything. And interesting enough, one of this particular man's children, still the same age, is coming to some sort of consciousness. When you read some of the things he says, he went to Africa. When you read some of the things he says about white people, clearly, if this boy carries on, there's still going to be black churches and white churches. So we just need to stop being afraid of what God has made, except we believe that God made a mistake. That's why Daniel Dadson was made Daniel Dadson, and he should have been made Prince Harry's brother. you know. So for me, it's intentional, and I have to apologize. I've been sent a text by some of my friends saying you're talking too much. Be quiet.
Oh my goodness! Oh my
Right,
goodness!
talking about text, let me read another one that says that if the church community will place value on Muyiwa's ministry instead of Davido, then they will have to pay £60 for his tickets. Remember, the church are the same people who buy, that's members of the church, are the same people who buy Beyonce and Davido's tickets.
No, but you see, the thing with that is Muyiwa has to make sure that he's adding the same value as Davido. And then don't forget to know, Davido is, there's another spirit that's, So if Muyiwa is gonna expect people to pay £60, he better make sure when we turn up, he's not starting.
We're gonna get £60 worth.
£60 worth, because if I just want preaching, my pastor can preach.
That's true.
That's true.
If when I come to your concert, like I said, like as earlier on with Daniel's concert, if Akosua is playing £15, she's like, baby, you better do something.
Absolutely.
Hit me with something I ain't seen before, or else I'm asking my refund. Now £60, black man, you better do the splits. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Well, we've had an incredible time with Muyiwa on today's show. Really, really great time. Some great wisdom nuggets, interesting conversation, and we have been talking about his brand new track, Alade Wura. Now, this song is available on all streaming platforms, including Spotify, Apple Music, and Google Play. To follow Muyiwa on social media, Facebook, it's Official Muyiwa, Twitter, Official Muyiwa, Instagram, Official Muyiwa, website, www.muyiwa.co.uk. So let's go out in our droves and let's download this track.
Make sure you are downloading the track. Like Flo Rocker would say, that Nathan Akurimi, Flo Rocker, producer extraordinaire, would say, if you don't download this track, may the Lord forgive you.
Amen.
Right, we have just some few minutes to go. Muyiwa is still with us, but let's quickly talk AGMA. So it's just about 3 weeks, and then it will be AGMA. So today, let's look at a discovery of excellence. So we have John Ago, Holland, King's Crew in Ghana, Jeff Levi was here a couple of weeks ago. Deborah Darlin, we have Shekinah. You've heard Shekinah, right? Okay, so Shekinah, we have Desola, Desola Music. Desola has also passed. It's interesting, Desola has also been on Gospel Connect in sometime last year. We have Hannah Ola, we have Nikki Seriki, we have Hansen Asiedu, who's also been our guest. A couple of
weeks ago.
Ben C, and then we have Chipo. Chipo is based in Scotland, amazing musician from Zambia, but based in Scotland. Artist of Excellence, West Africa, Akase Brimpon, the God is Working, man. I love the song. Mercy Chingo, Sisi Chum, also from Ghana. Steve Crown, Nigeria. Nosa Omoroji from Nigeria. NK Ogboru. I need some Amala to do before I come.
No, you just need me to read it for you if it's Nigerian names.
All right, so let me just stick with NK, Monique Okisoki, and then Prayer Odede. I met Prayer when I was in Ghana the last time in Takrady. Amazing. We had an amazing conversation. So these are the artists of excellence West Africa, and I mentioned this last week when we were doing the categories. It looks like the nominations are mostly between Nigeria and Ghana, like artists based in Nigeria, Ghana, UK, Nigeria, Ghana, UK. But of course, this is West Africa, but we have other West African countries, don't we?
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're not making, and people who do awards get this all the time because people complain, why don't you have this? Why don't you have that? At the end of the day, it's what the artist is doing. Your work must speak for you,
right?
If you got your work and it's between you and your cousins, no one. I mean, let me get Premier Gospel Awards. Let me tell you the amount I got calls from big church leaders, and one artist he marshaled people who have sent email complaining, sent phone calls complaining that he wasn't nominated, but he's not released anything for the people that for the panel to consider. So you have
and
to.
He didn't even send in a nomination, did he?
The panel who people like I don't know. We have you in the college, but we got radio presenters, promoters, pastors, the like. So different people from different parts of the country who would normally engage with gospel music would be the ones to say, okay, these are the names I put forward, and then you sift them through. His name never came up, right? And so he was upset. He said all those people that were nominated in his category, which was a reggae category, are all people that he's had on his stage. What stage are you talking about? But that's another question for another time. So with these categories, if the artists are not doing stuff that's seen, then what can the righteous do? But to do stuff that's seen, you need
resources.
Money.
Yes, comes back to that, doesn't it?
Comes back. Oh, all too soon. Our time is up. We need to go now. But thanks very much to you, Muyiwa, for coming through.
You must come back to visit us again.
Oh no, you just come back to talk us to sleep. But please download Alade and share it on your social media. Please. Without you, it's not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that brings us to another the end of another edition of Gospel Connect. We'll be back next week, God willing. Up next is
Hear Me Out Show.
Hear Me Out Show, yeah. And later on in the day we have oh man, my mind is going to sleep
Weekend
now.
City Show.
Weekend City Show. I'm just tired. I need to
thank God for us.
Weekend City Show. And then Mike Kitchener is here with the Voice of Sports Show. My name is Daniel Dadson. I do this every Saturday morning with Akosua,
Dwomoh-Fokuoh. And today we have the incredible Muyiwa on the show.
With his graceful presence joining us. But playing us out one more time is Alade Wura from Muyiwa.
Our God is with us.
Our God is with us.